So yeah, I met her and I was like, "Hi, I'm Freddy. I smell like."
Oh, what?
I think a lot of people wanted answers about what happened at that party. Were you hurt by what happened?
It's difficult. It's difficult. I remember at the time, it made me feel crap. I thought she might have apologized on the show about it, but she didn't.
There's one question I guess I could
Oh,
end this with.
oh, okay.
Is there any romantic interest in your life currently? So here we have one of London's most eligible bachelors.
One of our favorite cast members from the Love is Blind UK. And we're so excited to have you on, Freddie. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So, Freddie, I guess what made you decide to go on Love is Blind in the first place? I'd be curious to hear kind of your experience.
Yeah, so I applied for Love Is Blind because I wanted to. No, I'll be very honest. Previously, I've always kind of been drawn to people's physical attributes. Their appearance, and been on dating apps, and I've looked at girls. I thought, oh yeah, she's compatible with me, just solely based off physical appearance. And I feel like the idea of getting to know somebody on a deeper level, like a emotional level, and ensuring that your core values align. Yeah, I just found that really intriguing, and I never even thought I'd even be considered when I applied. I really didn't. I just saw it as an ad on TikTok. It pops up on TikTok, and I just thought, yeah, go on, I'll apply for that. Yeah, the rest is history, I guess. Like, honestly, I was really content on meeting somebody. The idea of marriage, albeit scary, kind of thinking, wow, this is mad. Yeah, I just thought it's definitely something that I'm at the stage of my life where I want to do it, and I just went for it.
You seem like you're not the type of person who wants a lot of attention. Is that accurate?
I'd say I am a reserved person. Like, I like to keep myself to myself. I'm not the most outgoing person in the room. I do tend to prefer my own sort of company. And I mean, I don't mind attention to it and to a certain aspect. I mean, I think everyone likes a bit of attention, I guess. But the idea of going on an international TV show, it's like, that's daunting. And I think that, so when I applied, I'd have known, okay, I'm going to be on this. Probably would have thought twice about it. It's kind of like the whole process of the more I got into it, the deeper I got into it. And then I thought, well, I've got to go along with it now because I've done that, I've done this. So yeah, I think had I known previously when I was about to apply, you're definitely going on this show, I probably wouldn't have done it. It'd have been too nerve-wracking and overwhelming for me.
I have the same exact sentiment. I always thought like the probability of me getting shown, getting followed, actually getting on the show, actually getting married was so small. And that, I think, was one of the reasons why I did it. Cause I was like, oh, the probability of this actually working out is so small. So I'm just going to do it, whatever. Cause same, like I'm not like a huge, Zach's definitely the more outgoing of the two of us. And I tend to be more introverted. And my mom always says like I'm, out of all of her children, the most like private and quiet. So for me to be the one to go on a TV show is pretty wild. And yeah, I would have definitely been more hesitant going on the show too if I kind of knew, because it's a lot. It's a lot to shoulder everyone's opinions and people's eyes on you. And I just like to live throughout the world with no one looking at me. If I could just go around the world with no one looking at me, that would be great. So I feel that.
It is a lot, even for someone who's comfortable speaking in front of people. It's a completely different story when you can conceptualize the scope of your conversation. Like all the people, if we were to physically put them in a room, right? You're having a conversation in front of
millions and millions of people.
Like I can't even think
like,
of a
I
stadium.
hate public speaking.
Yeah. You're like, just imagine like a football stadium and then multiply it by 100.
I was always talking about the most random things. And like, I remember, at first, when you first walk into the pod, I was really conscious of the cameras and I thought, oh, the camera's there. But then I end up forgetting. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's the beauty of the experiment. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to be natural and you feel comfortable and open up, you're more vulnerable. And I like that as well. I like the fact that going to meet somebody who you could be vulnerable with. And yeah, it's nice. What I really like in early relationship, or if you're getting to know somebody, I like that stage where you're really, learning about somebody and it's kind of like heart to heart. Whether you're on the telephone with that person for 3 hours, 4 hours, you're just talking about absolute nonsense, or you're talking about, serious things or things that open up and being sort of vulnerable with each other. I really like that stage of a relationship when you're learning about somebody. Oh yeah, it was really appealing because of that aspect of it.
The cameras, you do forget they're there. Zach and I were having like a moment, kind of like a sexy moment. And then one of the camera guys like coughed and moved his chair. And I was like, ah! So after that, I shut that down.
Freddie, so I actually, before the pods, you mentioned you had been on some dating apps. What is your worst nightmare dating app story that you ever had?
Worst dating app story for me is so I went to meet a girl and we were meeting at a bar. I was leaning on this lamppost. I was just chilling. I was waiting for her. And then all of a sudden I could smell, right? What's that? It smelled like dog shit. And I'm thinking, and I'm looking around, I can't see anything. And I'm waiting for this girl, text me. She says, right, I'm 5 minutes away and I can still smell this shit. Anyway, I look down and it's this dog shit all up my trouser leg.
Oh, what?
I'm mushing it around with my shoes. And it's all like all over my shoes. It's all over my lace. So yeah, I met her and I was like, hi, I'm Freddy. I smell like shit.
That is hilarious.
Did you say anything?
I just went to the bar and I washed my shoes in the sink.
You're like, I'll be right back. I gotta go watch the dog get off my pants.
Oh, man.
The dates I've been on and things in the past, they've all been okay. I've always got on with everybody. I've always had nice kind of dates with people. But yeah, I'd say that was probably the worst date experience I had. Yeah.
How do you think that going through the experience of Love is Blind will change the way that you're dating now?
I think that without question now, the main priority for me is finding somebody whose values align with mine, making sure that, we're on the same page and our aspirations are similar or get the best from each other. The experience really taught me that. And like I say in previous relationships or when I've been dating in the past, I have just looked at physical attributes and I openly admit that. And I really like this new way of I've not explored it yet, but just getting to know somebody on a deeper level first. And I'm excited to kind of explore that, with a different mindset.
I'm curious, what were the characteristics that you were looking for in your future partner?
Just a balance in our relationship. So not one person who is like giving 100% to the relationship. So, one person doing everything in the relationship and another person's not putting as much effort in, because I've experienced that. And I feel like that's really emotionally draining. Somebody who's honest and just somebody who's got the same sort of energy as me as well. Because obviously my job is quite a depressing job at times. And I just want to go home and kind of be silly, be stupid. And I like a person who's sarcastic. I like a person who's got, funny qualities and just somebody similar to me, I guess, but they also like to be a bit more chilled as well, maybe not going out all the time and stuff. And that's fine. I don't mind that. But it's just for me, for a soulmate, a wife, I just want somebody who balances my lifestyle out with theirs and somebody that understood my position with my brother and things. Obviously, he's a massive part of my life. And one day I am going to be he's looking after him as guardian. So somebody who's accepting of that as well. And I think that's a massive thing. And I would never expect like a girl to just take that responsibility on, and if somebody said no, that's too much for me, like that's absolutely fine. I would never sort of look at somebody in a bad way for that, because it's a massive, huge responsibility. Same with somebody who's got kids maybe, and if a girl didn't want to date a guy or marry a guy because he had a kid, I get it, like it's all down to you, isn't it? But somebody who's accepting of me, and yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Do you feel like that what you're looking for now changed because of your experience in the pods, or do you feel like you were still looking for the same thing when you went in?
I'd say that I learned a lot from my journey. So when I went into the pods, I was, I guess, a bit more open-minded. I didn't know what to expect, and I was a bit more open to maybe somebody that didn't align with my lifestyle as much. Whereas now it's become really relevant to me. Like now I realise after doing the journey, the experience exactly what I want. Whereas maybe before I wasn't 100% sure. I was probably more open to the idea of anything. But now it's definitely clear for me now what I want.
Yeah, I think the beauty of Love is Blind and that whole experiment is even if you don't end up getting married, you still learn so much about what you're looking for, who you are as a person. You know, even the people that aren't followed, like anyone who has any type of exposure to this type of dating experiment just learns so much about themselves. So I think that's always makes it worth it, at least in my opinion. So
I grew a lot. I grew a lot from the experience. It forces you to be a lot more vulnerable. Is there any ways that you feel like you changed from that experience and like things that maybe you weren't comfortable opening up about or anything like that?
You know what? I feel like I've always been with the right person. I've always been pretty vulnerable. I've always opened up. I've always kind of been honest about things. And there's certain things, obviously, you know, about like maybe your upbringing or things you've experienced that I don't really talk about unless I really get to know somebody. But I don't feel like I feel that the journey, it made me realize what I want from a wife and a partner, and it made me learn a lot more about me. Like I realized I am pretty emotional, and I do wear my heart on my sleeve a lot, and I am a bit of a people pleaser. I think I always try to consider other people's feelings over mine, and I think like that became really sort of transparent and realized that from the journey. But in terms of like what I'm looking for and stuff, I don't think that's really changed, to be honest.
Ultimately, there's two components with the pods, right? There is if the other person is genuine with you, there's getting to know like the core of who the person is, but then there's also seeing how they interact in the real world. With your experience, could you kind of just tell us a little bit about what your experience was, like how you fell in love and then what went wrong?
You know, my experience with pods was amazing, incredible with the connection I made. And I feel like, I was really excited. There were things that like I wasn't 100% on during the pod stages, just feelings and things that were said that I kind of thought, not sure about that. But kind of just dismissed it because I thought, well, I'm just going to trust this experiment. I'm going to trust this journey. I've got faith in what I've signed up for, and I'm keen to kind of pursue this and see whether this is my person. I'd say the feelings I had were very overwhelming, and I was really excited. So it's like an exciting, overwhelming feeling. Even at the reveal, it was amazing. It's probably the most amazing sort of thing I've ever experienced. This person that you've built this deep connection with, and you're finally seeing them, like as you both know. And then for me, the differences became apparent quite early on. I feel like once we were sort of living together, spending time together, there was just little things that I kind of experienced, and I just felt like I just had doubts, a lot of doubts. Most of the things that I was concerned about have been highlighted on the show. But I think at the end of the day, I just think we weren't compatible, or there were things that we needed to work on. I think given the time frame, we only had a certain amount of time. I just don't feel like that was enough time to kind of commit to something like a marriage. I felt like we needed more time as a couple to sort of establish whether we were each other's person. And given the fact we only had 6 weeks, it just wasn't enough time to make that commitment.
Yeah. I actually have a question about that. That is such a hard thing that you did. And I really respect the way that you handled it. I think both Bliss and I, when we watch, because we know we have friends who've been in that same spot where they were in a relationship and it wasn't the right call. It was really impressive how you handled it. I would like to kind of know what was going through your mind that day, going into it.
A lot of pressure. I felt like I know I was very sort of transparent with my feelings, and I was very clear on where I stood and how I felt. However, I don't know, it's difficult because, I'm the sort of person that doesn't like to sort of say too much, but I was very clear on how I felt and stuff prior to the wedding day. So, I saw it more of a celebration of our journey and together. And although there was an element of like uncertainty whether, there might be a chance I'm going to say yeah, but I feel as if I was very clear the whole way through the journey. And like the earrings and the other little sort of sentimental things, they were a gesture of our commitment to each other. It was scary. Yeah, it was scary. When she said, yes, I do. Yeah, I kind of expected that, to be honest, even though we'd spoke about it beforehand. It's difficult because, like I say, I'm a people pleaser and I don't want to paint people in a bad light or do anything, so I kind of knew she was going to say, yeah, even though she already knew my answer.
So you told her before you got to the altar.
I was very clear on where I stood and that, the gift, etc., that was a sentimental meaning, you know, as if to say, it's not a no to relationship, it's a no to marriage kind of thing.
So what happened afterwards?
Well, straight after the wedding, she came back with me and we spent a bit of time together. I went back to Manchester. She went back to Jersey, where she lives. And then a few days later, I went to Jersey for about 3 days, spent some time with her. And that's it effectively. Then we didn't, you know, we spoke on and off. It just became very apparent that it wasn't going to work, to be honest. It just, yeah, which is a shame because we'd done this journey together, but I think we both knew it's not going to work. You know, we both knew that. So
one of the things that I really was impressed at the way that you handled yourself was at the reunion. And as someone who's been in that exact kind of like a similar experience where you're confronting someone, I feel like you handled that so well because there's a lot that you could have said. And there was like a lot of stuff that like obviously everybody saw that never got addressed. And I think that's okay personally, because if the other person didn't want to address it, then, you know, everyone saw what happened. I think a lot of people wanted answers about what happened at that party because it was pretty gross. You know, I think seeing that happen and it didn't really get addressed at the reunion. But I'm curious because you really haven't, from anything I've seen, you really haven't spoken much about any of that. And I really applaud you in the way that you've handled yourself, because I think at the end of the day, you're not out to get someone. It's like you went for love. It didn't work out, but it's very hard. So were you hurt by what happened? And how did you kind of move on past that?
I mean, it's kind of it's difficult. It's difficult. I remember at the time it made me feel crap. But I think it's very clear. I think, you know, that the whole thing with, you know, the mixer with Sam and how it was portrayed was exactly how I felt. You know, and I didn't want to go on the reunion and sort of say anything bad about Kat because I just didn't feel there's any point. Because I felt like it's very clear from the show, you know, that it was wrong. You know, I thought she might have apologized on the show about it, but she didn't. But it is what it is. Like, I'm not, like you say, I was there to find my soulmate. I'm not interested in kind of bad mouthing people or saying, oh, I'm not happy about this or I don't like this about this person. At the end of the day, I gave it a shot. I had an amazing experience. You know, it was very emotional and I'd never do it again. But I'll just walk away with my head held high and just think, if she's in a relationship, you know, I hope she's happy and hopefully I find somebody. So I don't feel like I needed to say anything at the reunion, really.
We all hope that you find someone. There's a lot of people rooting for you. And I think, you know, your point is very valuable. And I think that a lot of people can take a page out of your book. You can still honor something that you had with someone and appreciate it for what it was, even if it wasn't perfect or didn't work out in the way you wanted it to. You don't have to have this vengeful, hateful feelings. There's no point in that. So I think that's really beautiful that you are approaching it this way. And I really think that everyone listening can learn something from that.
It's hard to move on when someone hurts you. And being able to forgive, I think, is something that is a skill. And it's not something that's just like intuitive. It takes practice. For some people, I don't know. You seem pretty good at it, Freddie.
I'm just too laid back. I don't, do you know what? I'm never, you know, I can have an argument with somebody and then 10 minutes later, 5 minutes later, I'm fine. I don't like to hold grudges. I don't like to talk bad about people. I just don't see the point. I just think life's too short, you know. If you're happy, you know, just crack on with your life. And I just think, there's no point. We went on a TV show, find our soulmates. It didn't work. And that's it, you know. It's unfortunate, but yeah, life's too short. So just be happy.
Where do you think that attitude comes from?
I don't know. I think that obviously growing up with my family, we're such a small family, we're such a loving small family, and I've always been really grateful for what I've got. I'm not growing up in like the most affluent area, but I'm not growing up in like a poor area, you know, and I'm very grateful for what I've got and the love that I have for my family and the love that they have for me. I just think life's too short, you know, and probably like growing up with my brother made me appreciate, you know, how lucky that we are. in life, like our cards could have been dealt differently. And also in my role as a funeral director, I just think life's just so short. You just got to embrace the moment, be happy, and there's no point hating people, and you just be happy and grateful for what you've got.
I think gratitude is really key to being happy. When you're very grateful for what you have, I think that's important to have.
I like how you look when you're saying that.
Yeah, we're very lucky. I'd love to talk a little bit about your family because you guys are pretty tight knit. It seems like you're all very, very close. You want to tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah, so as everyone who's watched the show knows, I've got a sister, big sister who looks after me. I mean, we used to fight so bad as kids. I'd have her in a headlock. I'd be like, she was always a lot stronger than me. I got a bit older. I got a bit stronger. But she didn't fight with me anymore. But no, we've got a great relationship. I ring my sister if I've got any concerns and things, and she's always got my back. She's always got my back. She always gives really sort of wise advice. So, and it's never kind of unbiased as well. So she'll always say, okay, and she'll see it from another person's point of view and say, this is what I think. So yeah, she's a good person to go to. My brother, obviously, is my big brother. But he's kind of like my little brother at the same time. It's weird. Like, he's my big brother, but he's like a foot shorter than me. Yeah, he's obviously, he means absolutely everything to me. Yeah, he's taught me a lot about life. I'm very fortunate to have him in my life, and he has molded me and made me who I am. So I'm really grateful for having him in my life. He's the most important person to me. And then my mom, as you say in the States. My mom's is a bit mad. She's always coming out with quirky things, and we've just got such a massive amount of love for each other. Small family. Got my nephews, my brother-in-law. So it's just small family. I've got a small family, but a lot of love. We've always got each other's back.
What do you think love means to you?
I think it's like, it's such a hard question. Do you know what? I feel like there's different meanings for love, but overall, I think it just means like unconditional sort of emotion, and you do anything for that person, and you think about them. You die for them. I die for my family. It's like a feeling you can't explain. It's hard. I can't explain it. You think I've been on a dating show, I'd be able to explain what love
No,
means, but
I get what your struggle is, because Zach and I often talk about how there's different types of love. And in the English language, there's only one word, it's love. But is it in Latin? There's three different Greek. There's three different words. Sorry, our cat wants to join. Three different words for love. And like one's based on friendship, one's based on romantic love, and
Philia.
one's yeah.
Philia, eros, and agape.
Yeah. So I think in the English language, it's a little more difficult to maybe explain or describe love, because we don't have more specific terms, because there's all sorts of different types of love.
I agree. That's so strange you said that, because I always say that. I always say there's different sort of meanings to love. Like, you can love your friends, you can love your partner, you can love your family, but it's a different love. Each person perceives it differently and feels it differently.
Do you think love is blind, Freddie?
Oh yeah, of course I do. I think love's blind. Yeah, for sure. Like, look at Benaya and Nick, or are you two? It's like, of course it is. Of course it is. And anyone that says it isn't, I say, go on, love is blind.
I think it's important that you said go on, love is blind, because just watching it, you don't necessarily understand it, but going through it, because people always ask us, do you really fall in love? It's like, no, you really, truly fall in love, and you're only seeing a small snippet of things that happened. Is there anything that you want to share that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to do, or is there something that you want people to know about you or your journey or your story or you as a person?
Oh, it's a difficult one, that. I feel like the show my journey with Catherine. So I think it's a true reflection. It's a fair representation of the journey we went on. Of course, there's things that haven't been shown, but overall, I feel like it's a true representation of our personalities and who we are. And there's obviously stuff I've said or stuff I've done. I thought, maybe I should have worded that better, or I'm disappointed in how I said that. Maybe the way I addressed things. Maybe when I was talking about the prenup, maybe I could have worded that in a better way. Other situations, I think, maybe I should have said that differently. But at the end of the day, that's what happened, and that's how it played out. So I'm not gonna justify things, and that's just the way it was. Yeah, I'm content with that. I think, I'm not going to regret things. I'm just going to embrace it all. It was a crazy journey. It was an unbelievable opportunity. Unfortunately, I didn't meet my soulmate, which is, disappointing. It's upsetting, but albeit, it was a great experience, and I met some amazing people. So I'm really grateful for the chance I was given, and yeah, it just wasn't meant to be for me.
So the friendships is totally the silver lining in everyone's Love is Blind experience. So who are you closest with, and who do you still kind of talk to and hang out with today?
Do you know what? Pretty much speak to everybody, all the girls, all the guys. Yeah, I speak to everyone. People I'm closest with, obviously Benaya. I'm good friends with Benaya. I'm friends with everyone. I'm friends with Maria, Sabrina, Demi. Yeah, I'm friends with everyone. I'm friends with everyone.
So cool. I think that that's one of the most special things that come out of this experience is that you get a whole bunch of new friends. And in adulthood, at least for us introverts, Zach makes new friends everywhere he goes. But I got to actually make like deep friendships that I, wouldn't have never had maybe, in my adult life. And it's harder to make friends as adults, like true good friends. So that's so beautiful to hear.
Yeah. I was thinking, I really wanted to get into your brother's story because I know it's so important to you. I'd love to have you on again. And we can kind of get into that a little bit more and talk about your experience with your brother. I think the heart of like what we want to do with this podcast, we just want to make the world a little bit better, right? We want to encourage people to be more understanding, to be more loving. And so talking about family, talking about love, talking about forgiveness and grace and what that looks like, that's the core of it. And I just think there's a beautiful story with your brother. It would be amazing to get to know more about your relationship with him and how that's shaped who you are. We didn't really get into that, but I'd love to do that next time.
Get it penciled. Let's get it booked in, yeah.
We're coming back to London one day. We love
it. Are you in London or where are you?
Manchester, but in the, considering the size of the States, London and Manchester are quite close together. It's about 2 hours on the train.
Oh, that's not bad.
So yeah, we're definitely going to hit up the cast. So we'll hit you up.
We love the UK.
It is so beautiful. If we go back, what's the one thing you would recommend we do?
Come to Manchester. Come to a soccer match, Manchester United.
Oh, that would be super fun.
I hear those can get dangerous.
Probably no more dangerous than our football.
I don't know. No, I think probably a little bit more dangerous. Yeah. Well, Freddie, hey man, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Really good to know you. I think you are just such an inspirational person and your character really shined through in your season. I'm rooting for you. Bliss is rooting for you. I think the whole world is rooting for you. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you to both of you and your cat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess that does. There's one question I guess I could end this with. Oh, okay. Is there any romantic interest in your life currently?
Not at the minute, no.
Oh, all right. Well,
it'll find its way to you.
Good luck, man.
All right. Take care. Thank you for your time.
See you, Freddie.